I go, I'm always hearing your name.
Sway in the Morning, where revealing a celebrity crush can go horribly wrong. Here's actress Nia Long.
My husband loves you. He wrote a verse in a song about you.
What verse did he write about Nia?
And Uchi Wally, speaking of coochies.
He did?
Yeah, that song Uchi Wally,
With
he
Nas,
pictures
Yes.
you with a cherry thong on.
Like Nia Long in the cherry thong with the lights on.
And
He
would
wrote
cheat.
the Nia Long with the cherry thong line?
That's my husband. Let me see if he
This
picks
ain't-
up.
Wow.
Hello?
How you doing?
Hi, horse.
Who's that?
It's Nia Long in a cherry thong.
Oh, man, Nia. Oh, goodness.
You made me go buy cherry thong underwear.
Oh, my goodness. Why you didn't tell me this, man?
What, nigga? Bye, nigga. Nigga, bye. This phone call over. Shit, ain't no bitch starting to get hot up in here.
I think I'm about to get
I really did
and
go
we-
buy Nia Long cherry thongs, though.
You really did? We're live, by the way.
did.
We're live.
They
Nia,
should
so-
I
have.
might have them on today. No, I'm kidding.
You should have had a whole, like, seriously, you know, like, the way people do things, like Snoop had the Snoop DeVille and all this different kind of stuff with Cadillac. Seriously, Nia, if she would have done a deal with, like, Victoria's Secret or somebody, you would have fucking
know.
sold out
Killed
the
it.
Oh,
building. Are you kidding me? Nia
We need
Long's
to
cherry
do
thongs?
Nia Long cherry thongs.
It's a, it'll
Why
be
you
a wrap.
playing?
Why are you playing?
I feel like I'm being attacked.
No, we just want you to get we want you to get those extra bags, Nia. Like,
Listen, I got kids to put through college.
That's what I'm
Baby,
saying.
I will sell some cherry thongs.
listen,
That's
all
just
sizes, Nia.
All sizes. We do not discriminate up in here.
Yes.
So you, man, we can make that happen, yo.
Let's go.
That is not a problem. Oh man, she's back. DB, just do a litany of things she's done. Bomb.
Well, first of all, I think I don't know if anybody realized that we just have two people who were on The Fresh Prince. Tyra Banks
Yes.
previously and Nia Long both dated Will Smith on that show, which we watch every morning here at Sway in the Morning. But also some of my favorite movies of hers, Love Jones, of course, Best Man, and then one movie that everybody should see, Boiler Room, with her and Giovanni Ribisi
so
was
good.
so good. And that's
one of
why
my
I love the
favorites,
film that she's in right now, because it reminded me it's very smart.
Yeah.
You know, it's based on true events, and the people around it are, I mean, everybody's brilliant in this movie, especially Sam Jackson, who I know had a good time because he got to play golf in the movie.
Oh my gosh, his golfing costume. You should have seen how many times they went over what he was wearing. And I was like, oh my God, he's so cute. He was so cute and handsome in the movie.
Yeah.
Cute's probably not the right word for Sam Jackson. 'Cause
I'm
he's a
not
legend
sure.
and an icon.
Yeah.
But for me, I used to run into him all the time at Whole Foods, and I would say to him, when are we going to work together? Like, enough with the produce. Like,
Yeah.
let's get this together. And eventually it happened. So I was, you know, it was a really special moment for me. And Anthony, I've known for
Anthony
years.
Mackie, good
Yeah.
friend. But the
Oh,
movie
yeah.
is called The Banker. It's out Friday, March 6th. Please welcome Nia Long.
Yes.
our homie.
Oh, but you know what else Nia was in? One of the most under-recognized movies to me. Also starring LL Cool J in Too Deep.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I just wrapped up a film with Omar Epps. I produced a film for Netflix called Fatal Affair. It'll
Dope.
be out sometime this summer. It's
Uh-huh.
my first
Yeah.
job as my first project as a producer. I was telling people what to do.
What'd that feel like? Is
No,
it different?
I wasn't really. Well, kind of, but not in a bad way. It was good because I felt like, you know, I'm a very visual person. And to be able to have a vision for the entire project rather than just your specific character it's a great place to be because you have input on everything.
What made what made you? Why now as opposed to earlier in your career? Is this your first time?
I think, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I think opportunities are different. I think when I first started in this business, there were a handful of us working. It was me, Regina King, Halle Berry, and Jada Pinkett Smith. And we were the it girls. And then, you know, the doors started to open and there were more women coming to the party and we were welcoming and you know, but the reality is we were for hire. We were not hired to give creative input. We were there to do a job, and you needed to do your job, do it well, don't have too many opinions, and take your butt home and be happy with the change that you're getting. And as the business has evolved into more opportunity for Black women, you know, I look at Kerry Washington was one of the first Black women to have a television show series, and that launched so many beautiful things for her career. So we have to be each other's biggest support, but we also need to be organized in terms of what are we doing next.
Yeah.
And I think the Banker is a great film because it reminds us to commit, to be encouraged, to be fearless, to challenge, and to provoke systemic change.
Yeah.
Because if the system is not working in our favor, what can we do to change that? How do we create legacies and financial stability for generations to come? Because the bling and the impulsive materialism doesn't really do anything for the culture.
Yeah. As you were talking about your journey in Hollywood, it made me think of The Banker, because this is a journey of a person who wanted to make, at a time when Black folks weren't allowed to buy property, to
and
own
get
property.
loans from banks.
And get loans from banks to do so. So we were being turned down. Tell us who Bernard Garrett is and why this story is important.
So this is a film about two unsung heroes. Bernard Garrett was... I play Eunice Garrett, Bernard's wife.
You make a great wife, too, by the way.
Do I?
Yeah.
Thank you. I've been a wife a couple times.
Yeah.
Bernard Garrett teams up with Joe Morris, who is played by Sam Jackson, and they become this... It's kind of, they're like the most unlikely duo. Bernard's character is very passive and quiet. Sam's character is a bit more rah-rah and funny and in your face. I actually connect the two of them. They come up with a plan to start their own business to buy a bank. They enlist the help of a young white boy who is played by Nicholas Hoult, who's fantastic in the role. He's such a good actor. And he becomes the front man of their business. So he goes in as if it's his business to get loans and to eventually buy the bank. And what he does after he buys the bank is he starts to give Black people loans. And this is based on a true story.
This is a true story.
So these are unsung heroes. No, you go.
No, you go. You always, Nia, you're always first.
Oh my God,
You know what, Sway.
I'm trying to get that cherry thong line.
Whoa, hey.
There's some silver lining in all of this.
What you saying, Nia?
Sway a mess today.
Oh my God. So eventually, you see these characters go on this very comical and fun journey. And it has its moments where it will implode. But I think what the takeaway is, don't be complacent with what is not working for your community. Recently, my father passed away. And so this has been it's been an interesting time for me. I'm also turning 50 this year, which is like amazing.
You look, oh man.
Thank you. I just feel so good.
It's just all a fresh start.
I feel so just happy. But what I'm learning in this process of healing with my father passing is, my father was a poet. He was a freedom fighter. He was for Black people. He was for the community. He did so many fantastic things. And one of the things that I'm learning in a much deeper way is the journey that Black men really went through during the 60s and 70s, trying to find their voices, trying to make a difference, trying to live up to the standards of what their parents expected them to be in terms of fathers and providers, when the system was completely against us from day one. And so the psychological warfare that Black men have been going through for many years manifested in the way that they chose to parent, which is my generation. So most of my girlfriends didn't necessarily have their fathers there. I was angry for a really long time, but now I understand, because the work that my father was doing wasn't just for me, it was for the world. It was for his small community in Trenton, and he made a huge difference, right? So I think we have to be forgiving and loving and and change the way that we think about who we are as Black people, because we don't have to just survive. We can thrive. We can own shit.
Yeah.
We can be all of the things, because when you look at what we generate in terms of the economy, we are all of the things.
Yeah, we're at the epicenter of all of
That's right.
of all of these things. I think that's really, first of all, our condolences that your father
Absolutely.
passed. But
Thank you.
but what I'm hearing, and
It's
I'm
growth.
is growth, and that you did have a connection to your father. I'm a father, so and when I hear those kind of stories and I think about my relationship with my daughter, it just makes me want to stand next to her even more. In the way you put that, I didn't understand the anger a lot of times.
Yeah.
And so you even bringing that to the surface makes a ton of sense to me.
I think the anger comes from feeling unloved and not feeling whole. Right. And so, but if your parents didn't love you in that way and they were busy just trying to survive, we weren't raised. So, I mean, I remember Boys in the Hood was my life. I remember being a latchkey kid. I remember my mother going to Cooper Union, going to Iowa, going to the University of Iowa, getting her master's, being fully educated, going to Howard University, and we landed in South Central LA. And she could not get arrested. And she ended up driving the city bus. And so I was a latchkey kid, and I would run home with my books. I would unlock the door. I would go in a room, close the door, because I lived in South Central Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And so I even have more empathy for her as a mom, being 22 years old, raising me.
Wow.
By the time I had my children, I was famous. My career was in order. I had bought my first home. I had the stability. She had no stability.
Yeah.
So I think when we really start to examine the Black experience and what some of us have experienced, some of us had a different experience, but the majority of Black people have had this experience that I'm speaking of.
Yeah.
We have to have forgiveness, empathy, and Black women need to trust each other more because we judge each other so hardcore.
I've been told that. I think it's oblivious to us as men sometimes, but in what ways? Is it little subtle ways? Is it when you walk in the room you can feel it, or is it?
I mean, I love women.
Okay.
I love strong women. I love women who are just big and beautiful and boisterous and all the things. I don't like sneaky women, and I don't like women who are trying to fuck my dude.
Okay. Okay.
That's
Right?
happened.
And no, that has not
Not
happened.
happened,
But the
they
attempt,
tried.
the
They
attempt,
tried. Yes, we
the
tried.
attempt.
I'm sure they have. They've never done it in my face. But
Okay.
but the point is I think
Damn.
it just went real hood. It just went real hood real quick.
That bitch ain't tried it in my face.
Not in my face. I don't know her. If she did, she's in a closet somewhere up under a pillow, looking at my cherry thong in the drawer.
You better talk to him, Nia. You better tell these bitches.
Y'all better stand down because we don't play.
Okay.
I can flip it and flop it real quick.
But so what do you think? Like the way you broke down fathers and households and how you became angry, but not realizing what his struggle and strife might have been. Where's the anger
Coming from?
with Black women? Like what when you
Look, okay, so I hate when people say Black women are angry.
Well, I'm just
But
repeating what
I was angry.
Okay.
I was angry as a
Okay.
young woman because I didn't understand why my mother had to be the one to do everything.
Okay.
Why she had to come home and cry. Why she had to raise me on her own.
Okay.
Why we had to struggle. Right.
Yeah.
So, but I think the reason Black women get a bad rap, I think the reason we are called difficult, we're called bitches, we're called too loud, too much, too everything, is because we are the core of everything. We are the beginning of everything, right? And so what is expected of us is more than we oftentimes have the tools to deliver. We are emotional as Black people. That's just who we are, right? And so some people can tap into funny. Some people tap into anger. Some people tap into, I'm not going to say anything. But I think the ultimate goal and the ultimate way that we heal is to tap into whatever it is that you're feeling and start from there. So if you're feeling angry, ask yourself, why am I angry? Why am I responding to the same experience the same way every time? And I had to do that in my relationships with my partner. I had to do that even with my older son, because he would do certain things that would remind me of my ex. And I was like, okay, you're not him. Baby, let's go over here and talk. And I love my ex. I think we did a great job raising our children, but there's a reason why we're not together.
Yeah.
Right? And so if you feel like your daughter is angry, I feel like this just all of a sudden turned into like a therapy session.
No, that's good. I love it though. I don't think my daughter is angry. At least not towards me.
Right.
I think she's
a teenager.
She's 21.
Right.
I think
so they're mad. 21-year-olds are mad about everything.
Well, she's questioning everything. Like
Yeah.
that ain't right. She's angry about what's not right, what's not fair.
Right.
You know, what's
well,
not
that's
equal.
good.
Yeah. So I don't.
Because you've given her the voice to speak up about it. Now we just have to get organized.
Yeah.
Now we just have to figure out how do we, because this new generation, these new generation of women, of young people. They're a little egocentric. They're a little detached from history. They don't quite know what's really going on. So how do we organize them in a way where we keep their rah-rah, we keep their big, beautiful voices? You know, we give Lizzo the platform to do and say what she wants to say.
Yeah.
I love that because to me that means we're free. But how do we organize that and create sustainable wealth within the community and actually come together and push the next generation forward?
I get that. Nia Long cherry thongs are going on sale.
I still wear my cherry thong. It doesn't matter how smart I sound today.
Okay, and 10% of all proceeds are going back to the community. That's how we go.
Yes, 10%.
10% of all proceeds.
Well done.
I started at 20, but notice I went down.
Because he's going to keep the rest.
There it is. Okay.
Don't forget about horse.
The horse got it. Yeah,
Horse, right? Where's horse at? We got you, horse.
He gonna love that. 2%. 2%. DB, you saw the movie. This is something.
I watched the movie and I loved it. Number one, and without getting too much into detail and giving anything away, there's a big part of the plot is having to trick the people that they were buying the banks from so that they wouldn't be hip to what was really going on.
Yes.
And one of those instances, you had to go, I guess, undercover as a cleaning lady at the bank. And you said something really powerful when they were like, you know, you don't have to stay here and clean. Everybody's gone home. And you like, anything I do it to the best of my ability, even if it's something that's demeaning to your character.
Right. That's right.
So, you know, I feel like some people don't have that outlook when it comes to work. You know what I mean? Like, you may be doing something that you don't necessarily enjoy or that you wouldn't necessarily want to do, but you still should put in 100% effort. And,
absolutely.
You know, did that kind of come off as like the overall meaning of the story in a way? You know what I mean? Like, just do whatever you can, but do it your best.
I think that's how Black women were built then. I think that's what we were taught. I know that's what I was taught. When I was in high school, I used to call myself a teacher's assistant, but really I was the cleanup girl. If the kids pooped or peed on the floor, I would clean it up. If somebody needed a diaper change, I would clean it up. And I was the best because in my mind, I was like, you're never going to come in here and say it smells on my watch, right? So that's the way I was raised. And to your point, I think this generation of young people, they don't have the same integrity and work ethic because they're detached from history. I know that my great-grandmother was a slave.
You traced it back?
Yeah.
Yeah. Really? Where was she? Do you know?
They were in Georgia.
Uh-huh.
But the thing is my dad's mother came to Trenton, New Jersey, bought a row house, and we still have that house. And do you know what I said to the realtor after my dad passed away? I called the realtor and I said, Black woman, hired a Black woman. I said, I know this is illegal, but I want you to make sure that whoever buys this house is supporting this community. Well, I don't know that I mean, you know, you can't discriminate. I said, they've been doing it for years.
Yeah.
And I don't care what the law says. And you can tell on me because I'm in a movie called The Banker.
There it is. It's out March 6th, damn it. Go ahead, give me those headlines. Watch what I do with them. And know that no matter where you see me at, press conference, otherwise, I got a cherry thong on, damn it. I'm Nia Long. I am Nia Long.
I'm going to do it I should do like a a line
Yeah.
called
Nia,
Cherry
I'm
Thong.
trying to tell
Nia,
you.
we trying
Maybe
to
I'll
tell
call
you.
like
we ain't
Melanie
mad.
Asante or something.
You should call Melanie.
Yeah.
Asante.
Did I say her last
right? I don't know.
We don't know.
Melanie-
Just
Melanie
send
Asante.
out boxes,
Call
Nia.
somebody.
So
You got free promotions
Oh my
right
God,
here.
she's gonna hate me
Yeah.
if I mispronounce her name.
Look it up. Look
She
up
be
her name.
aight.
Look at her name. She good. She getting money.
Yeah, she
You don't
got
even
it.
know her.
See, if you're saying her name, she's getting money.
Yeah, she's
Nia,
dope.
I feel like we got another conversation enough to come up here. I love hearing about your family roots, your history.
Oh my
I don't think we've
gosh.
ever even touched on this stuff.
Jersey, stand up.
That's amazing.
Trenton.
Yeah.
What up, Trenton?
Next time you come up, let's just make a conversation. See where it
Yeah.
take us. We'll all
Let's
be
do it.
transparent and honest
As
about
long as everyone has on a cherry
Cherry
thong.
Thong.
All sizes, Sway.